Hi, and welcome to Book Chat with Julie. I'm Julie with the Argenta Branch Library. We're part of the Lehman Library System in North Little Rock, Arkansas, and I welcome you to the March 2021 Book Chat. I saw a funny little cartoon earlier in the week, and it was kind of like a note to March. And it says, March, we will welcome you in this year, but you have to behave better than you did last year. I thought that was kind of funny because we're at the 1 year mark where a lot of things changed for a lot of people, and we're just gonna keep pressing on. So I welcome you to another episode of the Book Chat where I again get to share books with you, and I appreciate you always tuning in. No matter how you're watching the book chats, if you like, comment, share, subscribe, hit the bell. Those are all different ways to make sure that you always get the most current book chat. And again, I appreciate you always watching Book Chat with Julie. So today we're going to talk about authors. Authors. Everybody has their go-to authors. The author that you wait with bated breath like I do for the next one to come out. You read the whole series. You read everything they wrote. You collect some of them. You collect the books. You like to have your own personal copies, and some of those I do. Some of these are library books, and some are my own personal copies because I like to own my own copy. So the first author that I'm going to talk about today is Kristin Hannah. I have introduced her before, but Kristin Hannah has over 30 novels, and the ones that are the most popular right now is Firefly Lane. And it is the #1 TV series on Netflix right now. And so the book is making its round again. And I'm going to tell you, a librarian, because I'm a librarian, so I'm going to give you that hint. Read the book first. Read the book first. The series is great on TV, but read the book. There's some times where you could watch and then read, or read and then watch. But in this case, I'm going to suggest to you, read the book first and then watch the series. She also has the Nightingale. That's going to be made, it's being made into a movie. It was set to come out in 2020, but due to the pandemic, things delayed, setbacks. It's still in the works, and it's still going to happen. It's just going to be a little bit longer. Most of you know that since the last book chat, which was February, to this book chat in March, that we here in Arkansas, as well as many other states around the country, a lot of my people that watch book chats have all endured as we had a snow day or two. You already know that I love a good snow day. Well, here in Arkansas, we had a snow week and a half. And so I loved that. And 2 days before the first wave of the storm, which was an ice storm here in Arkansas, I got mail. And I was so thankful. I was so nervous that it wasn't going to get here in time before the weather, but it did. And it was Kristin Hannah's The Four Winds. This arrived. I read it in 24 hours. I did shower, and I did go to work for a couple hours in that 24 hours, but otherwise I did nothing else but read this book. Oh my goodness. I can't recommend this book enough. It is set in 1921, and it goes through 1936. It's set in Texas. It's during the Dust Bowl. It's during the Depression. And there's not a whole lot of characters. There's just a small handful of characters that you get to know. I will tell you, there's not a lot of happy because of the time setting and the Depression. But Elsa is the main character. And her resilience, and the way that Kristin writes this book, it is beautifully written. Every detail, description, you will have dust in your teeth. You will have mud between your toes. And that's all I'm going to tell you, because I don't want to give away anything, because there are things to give away, and I don't want to give away anything. But it is so beautifully written that you can read this. Even if you don't typically read historical fiction, you can read this and you will understand why it is already the #1 bestsellers on the New York bestsellers, and I can tell you it's going to stay #1 on the bestsellers list for a very long time. But that's The Four Winds of Kristin Hannah. Please give it a read. And I'll be happy. It's a book that I'm sad that we're not open for in-person book clubs, because this would make a great discussion. So if you read it, send me an email, send me a note, send me a comment in the comments, and we can chat back and forth. We can private chat if you want to, once I get your first comments. So there's just a lot to talk about, and I could have done the whole book chat just on this book, but I won't. I will move on. So another good go-to author in the historical fiction realm is Fiona Davis. This is The Lions of Fifth Avenue, and it is set in the New York Public Library. And Fiona, every single one of her books is set in a historical landmark or a place in New York City. She wraps the historical information and research with it, along with the fictional story, and it's just very well written. You will enjoy Fiona Davis as a go-to author. Another good go-to author for me is Francine Rivers. This is her Redeeming Love book. She's written many novels, but in 1991 she became a Christian fiction author. And since writing, this was her first one, since writing this one, 3 million copies have been sold. Sometimes what makes a great author or a great go-to author, a great go-to book, or what makes this my favorite book is sometimes the setting in which you read it. I happened to read this on a book club trip. It was a group of girls. We went to a lake house. We all had our own corners, our own little area down by the lake that we would just sit and read. We snacked and gossiped and talked and all that kind of stuff, played cards and, all the stuff the girls do. But we also had a lot of reading time. And this is the book that I read. My boys were little, so it was one of my first kind of girl trips to go away. And I think that's why I kind of treasure this book, is because I remember the whole setting. And I've actually read this 3 or 4 times since, and there's something to learn every time I read it. There's something new, there's something, oh, I didn't think about that. Another good series that she has, it's just a two-book series, is Her Mother's Hope and Her Daughter's Dream. These are really good. This was a good 3-day weekend read. I read both of those in a weekend. And I'm not typically a fast reader, but when they catch you, they catch you. But this starts in 1901, and it starts with Marta, and you're going to follow her story and all the generations of her family that follow her after between these 2 books, and that's a good read. Another good go-to author is, because I've talked about him before, is the Amish Fiction, Linda Castillo. She writes about Detective Kate Burkholder, and they're all set in Ohio, and she's the detective. And in each book, you don't have to read them in order. Sometimes it is good to read hers in order, because they're going to follow Kate Burkholder's story all the way through. But each book has its own murder, mystery, intrigue to the story. So you don't necessarily have to read them in order. But following Kate Burkholder's story has certainly been interesting. And something that she did, this one just came out in February. It's called A Simple Murder, and it's actually a Kate Burkholder short story collection. So this book is filled with just the short stories. They do follow Kate, and they follow some of the other characters that are in her books. But this is a great style of a go-to book, because it's short stories, so we're waiting in our cars for our grocery order. We're waiting in cars for people to come out of appointments because you can't go into the building with them. Just little short stories. This is a great one for me to have in the car, because I can flip it open and I can read a short story while I'm waiting for my dinner to be delivered to my car. So that's Linda Castillo. Everybody also knows that I love Amish, and I love the Christian Amish fiction as well. And Amy Clipston is a Christian Amish author, and she has a new book that just actually came out 2 days ago, and it is The Amish Midwives. And it's a novella, and she has collaborated with Shelly, Shepard Gray, and Kelly Long. Let me see if I can hold it up here. And it has 3 short stories. Again, another go-to book because you can carry it around with you. They're short little stories, but they're meaningful, and they're just a nice little read. Shelly Shepard Gray has a new book that just came out this winter as well. That's her single. Amy Clipston, she has some singles coming out later in the fall, kind of that follow along some of her other series. And another Amish fiction author that I like to read is Kathleen Fuller. This is her single, and it came out this winter, and this is called A Double Dose of Love. She also, Amy and Kathleen, they kind of collaborate together quite a lot. Between the two of them, there's probably about 15 or 20 novellas that they're a part of together. And this is one, An Amish Picnic, Amy Clipston, Kelly Irvin, Kathleen Fuller, and Vanetta Chapman. And again, these are just really good go-to books because they do have the short stories. And if you're just wanting something kind of quick to read, but you follow along, you follow the characters. A lot of the characters in these, they tend to go from book to book. Danielle Steele. We all know and love Danielle Steele. She has over 141 fiction books out, and one that just came out this week as well. It's called The Affair. Danielle Steele has had quite a few back-to-back new releases come out in 2020. And so that was kind of, I saw an interview with her, and that's kind of a fast turnaround for her to have so many in 1 year. But I guess the pandemic has let them all have time to write and get it out there. So Danielle's a good weekend read. They're not real long. It's a good trip type book to take with you on a trip if that's where you're going. If you're not going anywhere and you just need a weekend read because you're going from your couch to the kitchen, Danielle Steele's a good read because you can get it done in a weekend. So a lot of the authors, what we used to do to follow them was we would go to their webpage, and you could sign up for a newsletter. Well, in the last year especially, a lot of these authors have taken it many steps further, and now they're doing live Facebook chats, they're doing live Facebook interviews, Instagram, YouTube, whatever avenue. If you find it on one, you can usually find it on all the different social media avenues. They have giveaways. You can sign up to be part of their team. After the snow day where we didn't get mail for a week, all of a sudden my mailman showed up and I had a stack of packages. It was like Christmas. And some of them were advanced reader copies that I've kind of signed up to say, yeah, I'll read it, and then I write a review. So it was kind of like Christmas to get all these little author swag and some author books to read. Something that we do at our library is we have Matchmaker. It's not that kind of matchmaker, but it's a book matchmaker or a movie matchmaker. And I'm going to talk about the book matchmaker. Say that 3 times fast. And you can fill this out. You can call me. You can call any of the Lehman Library employees at the Argenta branch or at Lehman Library, and we can walk through this on the phone with you. And it's just a way that we can match you with the right author, with the right book, with the right genre. And it'll ask you, well, what age range are you interested in reading? And it says adults, teens, or children, your preferred genre, circle all that apply, your preferred format. Do you want to have the actual book? Do you want an ebook? Do you want an audio book? Do you want the CD book? And we can help get set up with that. And then it says, what was the last book that you read and why did you enjoy it? And that, I would ask that because that kind of gives me an idea of what you like to read. Do you like to stay within the same genre? Do you like to stay with the same author? Do you like to stay with the same time period? Would you like something similar? Would you like something completely different? And then who are your favorite authors? That'll also give me some insight about who you might want to read or to continue to read. Or if you said, I really like Fiona Davis, but I want to read something similar, but just not by her, then I know who I'm going to set you up with. And I'm going to tell you in this video, because we're going to talk about that in the next video in April, because I had so many different authors and genres that I wanted to share that I had to break it up into two. So we're going to continue author in April. And the April one, we're going to continue the different authors, but the reason I didn't put them in here is because a lot of them have new releases coming out between this video and the next video. So I wanted to be able to share their new releases to you. Don't forget our great winter read. We're in the last couple weeks. There's 10 challenges to do. You can fill this out. You can email it to me. You can call me, and I can take a blank one at the library and I can fill it out for you. I will put you into the drawing. We have 2 little gift baskets. So when all of these come in, the due date is March 31st. So the beginning of April, when all of these come in, I'll put them all in a bucket, and then we will draw, and we'll have 2 winners to win 2 of my little gift baskets. And that is the Great Winter Read Challenge. So one of the things that I was going to show you real fast too, as far as how do you get your stories. I don't know if you've noticed on social media, they have all the different subscription boxes. You can subscribe and you get, you know, like a box every month or 3 months or 12 months, whatever you sign up for. It might be a box of makeup and makeup bags. It might be cooking products. It's just different subscription boxes. But I had been seeing these letters, and I wasn't sure what it was, so I went to their website, and I thought, I think I might need to try that. So with my little Christmas money that I got in December, I signed up for the flower letters. And what it is, it's a subscription. So for the whole year of 2021, 2 times a month, I'm going to get a letter. And these letters, as I read them, they unfold a love story between Charlie and Audra Rose. So each month I get a letter. It goes back and forth. So you get a letter from each one. And like this one is the one that I got this week. And it is from Audra Rose to Charlie. And she, as one of your little free gifts that you get in the letter, is you get a recipe card. And it's for a recipe for some tea cakes that she's going to send to Charlie. He's in the service. It begins in 1941, 42. They met at a USO dance and fell in love immediately, but then obviously were separated. So by the time we get to the end of 2021, I will have the whole story of Charlie and Audra Rose. And this is it's just a neat thing to look forward to. I know twice a month I'm going to get an envelope, and it's the next chapter of the story, and then it just continues throughout the whole year. So it is March, which means it's St. Patty's time frame, and I'm going to just share a little Irish blessing with you. And it says, "May your troubles be less and your blessings be more, and nothing but happiness come through your door." And I send that Irish blessing to you this month. And as always, I'm going to say mask up and check on your neighbor. Let's just take care of each other this year. And I will see you in April when we continue to talk about author, and some new releases. So thank you again for joining Book Chat with Julie.